Hi everyone, welcome to another Weekly Forex Forecast. My name is Justin Bennett with Daily Price Action, and in today's forecast we're going to talk about the EURUSD, the Pound USD, the Euro versus the Japanese Yen, as well as the Euro versus the New Zealand Dollar. And we're going to wrap things up with gold, or XAUUSD. The EURUSD ended the week right at a confluence of support, and the British pound is also showing some weakness, so we're going to see if those two can break down or if support's going to hold this week. So let's get to it right now. A quick disclaimer that today's video is for educational purposes only. All views are my opinion and are not intended as investment advice. Forex is a high reward, high risk business, and you should not trade with borrowed money or money you cannot afford to lose. See the description of this video for the full disclaimer. Before we get started, be sure to hit that subscribe button and also click the bell icon so you get notified every time I post these videos. Also check out the join button where you can become a member of this channel and receive 5 to 10 analysis videos from me every single week. I'll show you the key levels I'm watching and how I'm approaching that pair, so you'll get trade ideas from those videos, but you're also going to learn how I trade price action, and that's going to make you a better trader. The EURUSD ended last week right above that confluence of support that we've been tracking now for several weeks. So notice how this 110.70, perhaps 110.80 level has been a key factor on the daily time frame for several months based on these lows back here, these highs, we then have these lows, and so on. So this level could either be placed at 110.70 or 110.80, which is why I've been calling it 110.75. Now we also have this ascending channel based on these lows back here and also these highs. We then have these swing lows that make up the bottom of this channel. And notice how these two levels intersect right around that 110.70, maybe 110.80 area. So given the strength of this level, don't be surprised if we do get some type of bounce this week. However, it is going to take a daily close below this area in order to set the EURUSD up on a track lower, perhaps toward that 109.90 level. And remember too that when I refer to the daily close, I'm talking about the 5 p.m. Eastern close when using New York close charts. So remember that I use New York close charts so that each daily session opens and closes at 5 p.m. Eastern. That gives me 5 24-hour sessions every week. See the description of this video for a link to the charts that I use. Okay, so a daily close below this 110.70 area is going to be critical in order to see the euro lose additional ground this week. Now, the pair is also coming off of the top of this descending channel from the 2019 high. So if you haven't seen the recent videos, we have been talking about this descending channel for quite some time. And essentially, whenever the pair was back here, we were looking for a move up into this channel resistance. I talked about this on the blog post when the pair was way back here. And I said that ideally, I would like to see a move up into this channel top in order to see a rotation lower. And we certainly got that. So now we're just waiting to see if sellers can break that 110.70 area and reinitiate this downtrend. Now I'll wrap up this EURUSD analysis with a view of the weekly time frame. So if I head over here to the weekly time frame, if we do see a close below that ascending channel bottom, all right, so I'll just draw this on here. If we see a close below that ascending channel bottom, there is a very good chance that we could see a rotation lower over the coming months, perhaps into this 107.20 area. And notice how there's an open gap from April of 2017, which was the French elections gap. Okay, so this gap right here occurred over the weekend. And this was the French elections back here that caused the euro to gap like this. And notice, however, since then, the pair went straight up. All right, so we never got a close of that gap around 107.20. So given the way that 107.20 lines up with this descending channel, all right, the bottom of this descending channel, if we do see the EURUSD take out 110.70 over the coming days, there's a very good chance that we could see a continuation of this downtrend and another leg lower, just like we saw back here and also back here. Okay, so a break of this 110.70 area could trigger an extended move lower all the way down here to 107.20. Now, keep in mind that a move of that significance would take several months. So we're talking about the March or April timeframe here in order to see the pair move several hundred pips lower. But it's all going to come down to the daily time frame and whether or not we see a close below this confluence of support. If we don't and it holds and we see the euro move higher back here into this channel top, it's going to be critical to see how the pair reacts up here, as this is a significant resistance area. The British pound against the US dollar started to struggle last week after catching a bid from that 129.80 support level. So notice how 129.80 was the top of this consolidation zone back here, and that's where the pair bounced. Now, Friday's candle produced a bearish engulfing candle, and I talked about this on Friday, how this signal could send the pair lower this week. However, we have a few things happening here, and it's not just about this ascending channel anymore. We also have a short-term ascending trend line that extends from the November 2019 low. So if I draw this level on here, you can see how this support level also helped trigger last week's bounce. Now, Friday's bearish candle does signal a rotation into this area once again. So if we get a close below this area, it's going to be up to this ascending channel support to maintain the short-term uptrend that we've seen since 2019. All right, now we also have these lower highs into these support levels. So as of right now, we're seeing some weakness into these key support levels, which could indicate an imminent break lower. But just like the Euro USD, it's going to come down to breaking some of these key support levels in order to see the British pound move lower. And keep in mind too that even if we see a daily close below this trend line, right around 129.80, this ascending channel support is not far away. So if you do decide to short this either on a 50% retracement of Friday's candle or a close below this 129.80 area, keep in mind that key support isn't far away, which means that you may want to keep your position relatively small. And if you want to play this conservatively, in my opinion, what I would do is wait for a close below this ascending channel support. Because in my opinion, this channel is what has directed the price action since the second half of 2019. So this, in other words, this short-term uptrend relies on this channel. So if we see a daily close below this channel support, we could see the British pound really start to unravel, perhaps down here toward 127.70, with a daily close below that, taking us to 125.70. On the other hand, if we see the pair take out Friday's high, all right, this bearish engulfing candle high, and also start to challenge some of these resistance levels and start to carve higher highs. So in order to do that, we'd have to take out this high up here. If we start to see that, there's a good chance that we could see a push higher before this ascending channel breaks down. But given the weakness we saw on Friday, I do think that a move at least in here to 129.80 and perhaps down here to this ascending channel support is likely over the coming days. Next up, we have the euro versus the yen, and I wanted to cover this one today because just like the Euro USD, if we do start to see the euro weaken, we could see this pair start to play out nicely. And I mentioned this ascending channel a few weeks ago. Okay, so notice how we have these lows down here, and we also have these highs. Now, this ascending channel, just like the Euro USD again, is actually a short-term uptrend within a longer-term downtrend. So if I use the weekly time frame, you can see how the euro yen has been moving lower for quite some time. So if I adjust this bottom level to capture these three lows, all right, this one, and this recent one, then we also have these two highs up here. And the big question now is, will we see a rotation lower before we get a retest of this channel top? Now, ideally, I would like to see a move higher first. All right, I would like to see a retest of this descending channel top before we get that rotation lower. However, if we do see a close below this ascending channel bottom over the coming days and weeks, that could signal a move lower and also expose that 119.20 region. All right, that's based on this low back here, as well as several highs back here in late 2019. So I think that the euro yen needs a little bit more time to set up because we are still seeing some consolidation. And I don't like to trade a market when it's moving sideways like this, because at the moment we could see a move down here into channel support, or we could see that push higher into descending channel resistance up here. All right, so as long as we're moving sideways and we don't have a clear direction, I don't necessarily want to trade this pair right now, but I do think this is one to keep on your watch list, because a break of this ascending channel bottom could open up a move that spans for several hundred pips this year. All right, so this is one to keep your eye on. It's not ready yet, but don't sleep on the euro yen. Next, we have the euro versus the New Zealand dollar. And this is a currency pair that I don't discuss often, simply because crosses like this tend to be a bit choppy. And you can even see that in some of the recent price action, where we just get these ranges like this where the pair moves back and forth. Even through here, notice how choppy this was for several months. However, you also get moves like this and like this. All right, so the euro versus the NZD can produce some significant moves, but the key is to avoid the consolidation. All right, in other words, you have to wait for the breakout. Now, the most recent consolidation here has come in the form of an ascending channel. So notice how ever since we reached this late 2019 low, the pair has been trending higher. However, this to me is just consolidation. All right, this is consolidation following this sell-off right here. And so in order to capture the next move and avoid that consolidation, what we need to do is wait for a breakout. So we need to wait for a break of this channel support. Now, you could also play this on the 4-hour time frame or even 1-hour time frame. However, just keep in mind that a break may not be as reliable as waiting for the daily time frame to close below support. So if we do get a break of this channel support this week, one level I'm keeping an eye on is going to be this 165.60 level. All right, now I think we could also see buyers come out at these recent lows, but 165.60 is going to be the level I keep an eye on. And that's just based on this swing low back here. And we also have this low on the weekly time frame. So this area to me seems like the most likely area that the pair could move to if we do get a breakdown of the consolidation. Now, one other thing to notice here, and you can probably already see it, is last week's bearish pin bar on the weekly time frame. So if I draw a trend line from this 2019 low back here, okay, so this was the 2019 low right here. We then have the intersection of this low and also this one. Now the pair broke down on this candle, and notice what we got last week. Okay, this right here is a bearish pin bar. This is a perfectly formed bearish pin bar on the weekly time frame. So another way to play this, instead of waiting for the daily to break that channel support that we just looked at, another way to play this and get an early entry would be to wait for a 50% retracement of last week's candle. Okay, so that would come in right around this area, or these lows back through here. Okay, so notice how we have this low, and I'll point this out in a moment, but we have a low right there, and we also have one right through here. Okay, so essentially this area between 16800 and 16830 would be an area that I'll keep a close eye on for a short entry. And again, that's just based on the 50% retracement of last week's bearish pin bar. So we have this low right here, and we also have this one that make up this 30 pip range that could produce a selling opportunity this week. So one way you could approach this is look for an entry somewhere between 16800 and 16830 and keep your position small, and then perhaps scale in using the daily time frame once we get a break below that ascending channel support. Okay, so this is just one idea of how you could approach this, and also keep your initial risk low, but then scale in if we do see follow through from sellers. All right, so I do think the EURNZD is one to keep an eye on this week. And that's especially true if we get a close below this ascending channel support, which could take the pair down here into this 165.60 area. Last but not least, we have gold or XAUUSD. This pair put in a heck of a run recently following this breakout from the falling wedge that we talked about several times when the pair was trading in this region. All right, now the idea back here was that a daily close above 1480, this confluence of resistance at 1480 would send gold higher. Now notice this candle right here cleared that level, and ever since then it was almost a straight move up. So I know members made quite a lot of money on this one, and ever since we reached this area up through here though, I said that traders had to be careful, and that was especially true if we got a close above this 1550 area before we saw some type of retracement. Now last week we did see a nice bullish pin bar form right here. However, in my opinion, that wasn't really at a key level, because right now I still think that 1550, based on these highs back through here, and also this recent gap, that 1550 is still a key level. So this pin bar was below that area, so it wasn't an ideal setup in my opinion. However, you can see how gold is staying relatively constructive. Okay, even following this huge bearish candle up here, we have not seen the pair really sell off. We haven't even seen a retest of this 1515 area that I said was a possibility a couple weeks ago. So right now, just based on this sideways movement up here, gold is staying relatively constructive. So I would not be surprised to see an eventual move back here into this 1580 area, as long as gold holds on to recent lows. Now, one low I'm referring to here is this one right here. So as long as we hold that low, there's a good chance that we could see gold push higher. Now, if we see gold start to sell off and take out this low, that's when we'll likely get a retest of 1515 as new support. But to be totally honest, gold right now is in consolidation. So a lot of people have been asking me for an update on gold, which is why I'm doing this video today. But I do think that pairs like the EURUSD, and especially the euro versus the New Zealand dollar, could produce better setups over the coming days. Because until we get some type of signal here, and until we get some type of movement one way or the other, gold is locked in this sideways movement. So while you could trade gold this week, it's all about identifying A+ setups. And right now, I don't see an A+ setup on gold. Because again, as long as we're in the sideways consolidation and we lack momentum, I don't see a whole lot to do here. I think that pairs like the EURUSD, the euro versus the New Zealand dollar, and perhaps even the British pound versus the USD, if we get a break lower this week, could present better opportunities than gold. But if you insist on trading this one, I do think that if we start to see gold take out these recent highs, there's a good chance of a push up into 1580 once again. Whereas if we see a rotation lower and we see gold take out that recent low from last week right here, that would indicate an extended move down here into 1515 as new support. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, leave your comment below, and be sure to subscribe to my channel. See you next time.